morning, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in Radio Land. Thank you very much for tuning in to ZIZ to be a part of another session of Frank and Candid. And I wonder sometimes to what extent have we really been frank and candid in our discussions, in our utterances, in our statements. But let's see how far we get. I think we had a fairly lively discussion yesterday. I am advised that I let some person speak for too much time, too long. We'll see how that goes today. I have to readjust myself, I suppose, to the arrangements and to the goings on since that I'm back after quite a while, and I'm only here for another short while. But it's a lovely Tuesday today, 19th July 2022, and we're always delighted to be here with you. How great and good and merciful and gracious God is to a lot of us, perhaps to all of us. And I know I am one of those who do not deserve, those persons who do not deserve that those kinds of blessings from God. I am one of them, and so I'm very thankful that He has chosen me to be one of the recipients of those good things. Today then we want to talk a little bit about women in politics. As usual, I like to give some background. I'm a teacher by nature, remember that, so I like the idea of imparting information. I think all of us are aware that at one point, a very long point in our history, women were not involved in politics. Not only were they just not involved, they were not allowed to be involved. A famous philosopher statesman in Britain once wrote that to promote a woman to bear rule over men is anathema to man and contumely to God. In other words, not at all goes so. That's unthinkable. That can't happen. Alright? Fortunately, some would say unfortunately, we have moved beyond that, and today, 2022, we have a number of women occupying not just senior positions in leadership here in St. Kitts and around the world, but in fact as heads of government and heads of state. So we want to look at women and the involvement in politics, and we'll talk a little bit about that before we open the lines. And when we speak of women in political leadership, we're not talking about queens and empresses, which by and large were not elected positions. Women did not arrive at those lofty posts. They did not get to occupy the throne by virtue of being elected as a result of facing the citizenry, putting themselves before the public and saying, hey, these are my qualifications, these are my qualities, and I propose that you elect me to be queen and empress. No. So we're looking, when we talk about women in politics, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking essentially at those who were elected. Here in St. Kitts, of course, and in the Commonwealth at large, and in many other countries around the world, we are familiar with the electoral process. And some people argue that anybody who subjects himself to the rigors of the political campaign, when he or she is finished, when he or she wins, or even loses, he or she really deserves a lot of commendation and reward of a certain kind to a certain extent, because it really is an involved, complex, complicated, and demanding affair. It exacts much in terms of time, energy, and one puts a lot on the line, including, of course, reputation. So we're talking about women in politics as heads of government and heads of state having been elected to those positions. In recent times, the first head of government would have been Prime Minister Sidimabu Bandaranaike, who was elected Prime Minister in what was then Ceylon, a major exporter of tea, a British colony, in 1960. And she was age 44 at the time. She ruled until 1965. And incidentally, or coincidentally, her daughter, Chandrika Bandaranaike, later became Prime Minister of what is now Sri Lanka as well. A lot of us know Sri Lanka, of course, because of its prowess in cricket. And in recent times, it's been in the news for not so good reasons. Fuel shortages galore, lots of protests because of difficulty coping with the cost of living, people occupying the residency of the Prime Minister, and state of emergency being imposed now, and so on. But Sidimabu Bandaranaike was the first woman Prime Minister in our modern world, elected in 1960. Therefore, the first head of government. The first president would have been, or was, Vigdis Finnbogadottir of Iceland, elected in 1980 and who ruled for 16 years. Okay. Since then, of course, those women blazed the trail, as it were. We've had quite a number of women being elected to the post of president or prime minister, as the case may be. I think it's interesting to note that that Pakistan, India and Bangladesh, all three have had female prime ministers. All three used to be one country at one time. All three used to be one country at one time. They are separate countries now for quite a while, but all three have had female as the heads of government. India, of course, being a major player on the world scene, one of the largest countries in the world with the second largest population, had a very strong leader for quite a while in Indira Gandhi. And then, of course, other relatives of hers, including females, Sonia and so on, also became Prime Minister. We've also had female heads of government in Australia, in New Zealand, in the United Kingdom, in Germany, in Sweden, in many countries in Europe. And of course here in Central and South America, there have also been a number of women who were elected to the top post. In Africa, my continent, the mother continent that gave birth to civilization in a very real sense, we had the first elected leader in Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who ruled from 2006 to 2018 in Liberia, and who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2011. She was 68 years old when she first assumed office. Alright, I mentioned the ages because some people seem to believe that age should be a factor in determining whether an individual is eligible for election to Parliament, and whether he or she should be asked to demit office, irrespective of his performance and achievements, when he or she attains a certain age. I am one who, I'm not in favor of that at all. I'm one who is not in favor of that. I just finished writing a book. It shall soon be ready for sale, and I shall advise you accordingly when that is so, on William Ferdinand Willido, who turned 97 years old last week. And apart from being a bit slow in walking, he has to use a cane. I mean, his mind is as sharp as ever. He speaks with such clarity and with such authority at times. He can engage in discussion with such depth and detail. He has a sharp focus on the minutiae, that which we consider insignificant, but which really are very important bits of information to come together to form a coherent whole. and he's 97. I've taught for a lot of years, and I wish a lot of my students from first to sixth form and those who came at evenings were sharp then or now, even now, as he is now, and apparently has always been. So, this question of age to me is irrelevant. So we had Ellen Johnson Sirleaf elected president of Liberia in 2006. Of course, before her, we had Sylvie Kinigi of Burundi. But she was acting president from February to October 1993. February to October 1993, a period of about 8 months. And that occurred, and so she preceded Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. But of course, she was not elected, and she was really fitting in as a result of the demise of the substantive occupier of the post. And we've had a lot of that, and we still have a lot of it today, where a number of females are occupying the major posts, head of government or head of state, by virtue of the sudden unexpected death or dismissal or otherwise exit of the substantive holder of the post, who almost always was male, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, here in the Caribbean, Mary Eugenia Charles was our first female elected head of government when she became Prime Minister of Dominica in 1980, age 61 at the time. Since that time, we've had female leaders in Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, and Barbados. When shall we see one in St. Kitts? What do you think? And interestingly, the first female candidate to offer herself for election in St. Kitts was Mary Charles. Notice that in Dominica, the first female Prime Minister was Mary Charles, with her middle name being Eugenia. I can't recall Mary Charles's middle name, but two Mary Charleses, very, very interesting. All right, Mary Charles in St. Kitts would have won for the People's Action Movement in 1971. And 9 years later, Mary Charles in Dominica would have won and won. Okay? When Mary Charles ran in St. Kitts, she received 322 votes, as against St. John Payne's 1119, who ran for Labour, of course. Then, in 1973, Cynthia Doe in Anguilla ran, but no poll was taken, so we cannot say she won or lost. In Nevis, Ermine Quealy ran for Labour in 1980, and she got 184 votes to Simeon Daniels' 1,110 votes. It was not until 1984 when Constance Mitchum on the PAM ticket turned out to be the first winning female candidate in a general election. And she won again in 1989, and by a very small margin in 1993. So female Constance Mitchum has secured a place for herself in history. She's now Dame Constance Mitchum, of course. And she was followed, of course, by Jacinth Henry Martin for Labour and Marcella Liebert, also for Labour. We have elections coming up on the 5th of next month, and for the first time in St. Kitts, all parties have female candidates, including in Nevis. The NRP also has female candidates. Only the CCM this time around has no female candidates on its slate. Just one more bit of information. In 1967, Hilda Bino of Grenada became the first female governor, not only in Grenada but in the entire British Commonwealth. She would have been the first local governor of Grenada, just like Milton Penton Allen was our first local governor here. She would have been the first local governor in Grenada, Dame Hilda Louisa Bino. She was 46 years old when she took office. She occupied that post of governor from 1967 to 1972. The question is, what can we expect from women. Would we like to see an all-woman cabinet, an all-woman parliament, an all-woman government? What would that look like? What do you think would happen if we were here in St. Kitts or in any country in the world? This has never happened yet, where every single member of cabinet, every single member of parliament is a female, is a woman. What does the record show with respect to women as leaders? Is there more or less corruption? Is there more or less corruption? Are there more or fewer achievements? Is there more or less crime? Is there more or less social and economic growth when women are at the helm? What does the record show? Some governments, some countries rather, have quotas for leadership in their cabinets. Some governments actually have a quota system. In other words, a minimum percent, perhaps a maximum in some cases, of the representatives have to be female. Should we have that here? That is the question. Do you think we should have that here? Okay, we're going to open the lines now. We're going to open the lines now and invite you to call and comment on what we just discussed. Women in politics. Good morning, caller. Welcome. Frank and Candid. Hello.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Mr. Blake. Yes, I just wish to follow up from yesterday's conversation. And yes, I personally think, and I have agitated for women to be in all spheres of our society, because I think women will bring a motherly care, whereas sometimes us men might overlook certain things, even though we do play our fatherly role. But then that special kind of woman tender care sees towards the child she bear, in the sense that the mother would be the mother of the nation. And that child, in that particular sense of a mother and a child, the child would be the nation. And I think women bring that sort of tender motherly care, would bring that tenderly motherly care to the fore. It comes with also maturity, because you dealt with a lot of age just now. You disclosed the age of certain person who would have accomplished such lofty positions and the age. And so one would mature as the age. But one thing struck me the other day, Mr. Blake. I listened to the meeting at the PLP meeting at Tabernacle the other night. And it struck me when the Prime Minister actually, I guess, there was on the platform, but when he asked for Akila Byron Nesbitt, the representative for number 3, to come, maybe she stood at his right side, and then he also asked for the candidate for number 1, Jacqueline Bryan, to come and probably stand or sit at his left side. And so, a man being flanked by 2 women. I am going somewhere with this, with my theory, with my philosophy. Because the original concept of an angel were feminine, who protects. Their arms is like a symbol of the wing that protects. Just like how a chicken, a hen protects its young. Okay? So that was something that, if we go back to the Kemetic time, you talk about Africa being the cradle of civilization. Back in Kemet, you will see Isis and Nephthys, sisters, flanking her brother, Asa or Osiris, giving him that protection. And Isis would have had a seat, a chair on her head, symbolizing that when Asa sits, she sits in my lap. We see it with Jesus and Mary and Jesus. So in the sense of women coming into politics, they would bring something of that tender care as women, the feminine energy to bring about a balance.
So I
think it's the UN, huh?
you would support or you would like to see a situation where there's an all-female cabinet or government? You think you'd like that? Or you think the male presence is needed to strike, to bring balance?
Yes, the balance. I would not agree if it's lopsided, because it was so lopsided in terms of male chauvinistic domination. So if it even go where it tips the scale, 61-59, I have no, qualms about that. The
61,
people will decide.
that would be 61-39.
Bearing in mind also, Mr. Blake, because if you check the voters list, it's predominantly women have that advantage on the voters list.
Very well.
Those things supposed to reflect who we are, and so many women are single parents.
Yeah, 60 seconds.
Yes, thanks for listening. I just wish to bring all these things to this. I went through the comedic aspect of it because we're not familiar with these things, but the women brings a lot to the fore.
Thank you.
My mother did, and I'm here today as a testimony of that. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Let's take another caller.
Yes, Mr. Blake, good morning.
Who's referring to me as Mr. Blake?
Mikey, good morning. How are you, sir?
I am better now that you refer to me by my proper
Man,
name.
I hear in the penthouse listening you, and you always bring volume to this country, but I want to listen. Mr. Blake, it touched me when you mentioned the old man there,
Mr. Doe.
Mr. Doe. Because earlier o'clock we met and you told me you went to visit him. And it's a shame with the Labour Party, for Mr. Doe's contribution to that party over the years. And I'm calling on Mr. Joe to get a delegation and go and visit that old man. Because you had man run this country for 20 years. When these people who contribute to this party, when they be garbage, when I don't need them and they all under in a corner, I just rest them aside. Mr. Blake, God bless you, you hear? And I hope that the people of this country could buy that and understand that man contribute. Mr. Blake, you remember Nako?
Of course.
He was the driving force,
The books.
That Butcher, that Southwell, that Live one them,
Willie Doe. Willie Doe himself.
Mr. Butcher said, every cane cutter will work on the estate. He must be able to get a row or something in the cane field to grow something. And that was strengthened by Mr. Doe,
Definitely.
And when you look back, Denville Douglas, this
no.
had no call Douglas back in country, in the politics. 90 years, a party, and a man contributes, and he was a teacher. He teach many people. I have even friends them who go school, who Mr. Doe teach. After I come on this phone, they're going to call me. Continue, Mr. Blake.
Very well.
This young man, the area got stigma around it. A lot of stigma to give, but they don't have million people because I'm out, I'm not like area,
60 seconds.
Million people.
60 seconds, yeah.
Well, I won't be too long. I respect the protocol. But Mr. Blake, continue agitating for these old people who contribute to this great country.
Very
Have a good day.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. The usual passion from Manners. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, could I say Mr. Blake or Mikey? Which one?
Manners and I go up together, you see, so I keep telling him, Mr. Blake is not for him. We go up together for years.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Well, 100% I support Africa, all that he said. And the same thing we jam down. But let me tell you something, Mr. Blake. Let me give you your flowers while you're living.
Mm-hmm.
I got two daughters that passed through your hands up at the high school. And they gave good commendation about you, the standard that you take in your work, and they said that you taught well. And today I am proud of them.
Very well.
Very well. And I have a granddaughter now, she's getting ready to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you taught her in high school right now, before she get out. But anyway, they gave good words about you.
Thank you.
Now, I could attest to what Jam Nang said about Mr. Doe. Mr. Doe, all man in tongue, bastard, afraid Mr. Willie Doe. Whether you go in school or not, and you see you're frightened. Because if you're not going to school, he want to know what you're doing there. He was so concerned about the children getting their education.
Correct.
And he told me when I was driving for the health center, Bastard Health Center, me and he sat down here and we spoke, and he told me he was the drive behind the flour and mackerel that we got in the 70s.
Absolutely. The book speaks about that too.
Oh, okay then. I had to get a book.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I said, Mr. Doe, and you standing up here so look so simple, even though I know you're in school, you were the drive behind it.
Yeah.
So I said, well, the whole country is supposed to have knowledge of that. And that was good because it was very, very helpful to everybody. And at the age of 97, and he's still good in his brains. Even though the bones, they need a little help, so he walking with the cane.
Yes.
But he is so strong, and he got so much willpower to live, that I know he will make it to a century.
Definitely.
Yeah, he's good. Now let me go to the woman in politics.
Sure.
I think the first woman should have entered politics is Rosa Parks. For the stand that she took for equal rights for black and white in that bus. But we know if she had come out the bus and go on a political platform, we know what would have happened. We know exactly what would have happened. I wouldn't even have to detail it, what would have happened.
You mean she might have ended up like King?
Oh, yes. you see the one you call King. even though John F. Kennedy get that and he would have get it, but King get it because of his color. And she would have ended like that.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think now, woman, it's time that all women step up, put a bill on your ambition, and go forward. It's supposed to be equal. I do not go for the all male or all female.
Okay.
Let me have a balance, a seesaw.
Right.
Because seesaw has to end. And we go up and we go down. But ladies, they are doing great, and I like them because they are very forceful. When a man will stand up and say, man, me not bother him, man. Not woman. Woman are always to the front of the battle. So, and ladies, let me tell all of this. When you leave out your country and you go away in another country, respect the law of the land, and you go out there to better yourself. Don't go and join with those who are doing negative things. Because I know one individual went to a neighboring country and went down there to do what the Bible speak about. And it is wrong and bad. And when the customer finish, you would like to know what the customer do to that person and tell them, go home and sink it, go put that in a bathroom. Thank you, Brother Blake.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome, as usual. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Greetings.
Yes, brother.
How are you?
I'm definitely good. Thanks to the Almighty.
Indeed. Thanksgiving out in order. The time. The timely topic, you know. Timely topic. You know, say, in terms of having an all-female, right?
Yes.
Administration, I don't see nothing wrong with that at all, you know. The feminine energy in its totality, in its wholesomeness, there might be something needed, you know. I heard the song about the balance, but we are accustomed to all males, isn't it?
Yes. That's all many of us know.
Beg pardon?
That is all many of us know.
Yes. It reached a point of all feminine energy inside there. There's nothing absolutely wrong with that, you know. The age, the stand on the age, I agree with that also, because it's just the mental faculties, you know. Once it is there, and where it ought to be, age is just a number within the scheme of things, you know. It makes one need assistance to move around physically, you know, just to be able to manage the mental, you know.
Yes, sir.
But we really need some feminine energy in the politics. I really I really think I say I know. You know, women. I mean, you know what's standing it. Women are just different. You know. And, I really know that it would make a difference. It would make a difference if it is set that way, you know, within that feminine order, within the politics.
So, just one quick question. You think you'd like to see that as an experiment here in the Caribbean or elsewhere? First, as a pilot?
Can you please repeat that from the top?
I was wondering if you'd like to see this all-female parliament or cabinet, as it were. Would you like to see that as an experiment, as a pilot project, so to speak, starting here in the Caribbean or in another part of the world? Or it doesn't matter?
No, indeed, right here in the region here.
All right.
That would get, yes, you have said it, right here in the region. It matters not where in the region, you know, whether it is here, whether it is a bigger Caribbean country, but we would love to see that president just set in the region. I mean, yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it?
Do you see that happening in your lifetime?
Yes, indeed. We don't see that, you know, so yes, indeed.
Okay.
Keep happening.
Very well.
Yes, keep happening. Once again, give thanks for the topic. Very timely.
Very well, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Love.
Appreciate it, brother. Okay. So, we need to examine, in my mind, in what ways, fundamental ways, are women different from men? In terms of rulership and leadership, of course. Okay? Because clearly, one fellow spoke of their being motherly. They're being mothers, or women being motherly, and so they would deploy that kind of attitude to their job. Is that what we really need? Let's take this caller. Hello.
Mr. Blake.
Mikey, yeah, go ahead.
I didn't get to touch the woman in politics.
Okay.
But as you asked my brother Eli if he think it will ever happen in Sinkers, yes it will. But it ain't gonna happen now. But we want one or two of them in the makeup of our government. You understand? And
right.
Women bring so much to anything in this life. And we would like to welcome women in the future to have a female prime minister. And it will happen. We mightn't be here, but it will happen. Even the worms and so had to come and tell us down there. It happened. It will happen.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes,
my
sir.
brother? And next thing I want to touch is the littering where we getting around this place. It's the nastiness. And I want to thank the ministry who are in charge to cleaning up Westbourne Gut. And I hope that they continue to keep it clean. And some of these park and beach men, the foreman, the supervisors, them must go in these guts and try to do some cleaning, man. Try to clean the place. Don't let it run away. And the question, people going in the cemetery at night and troubling people when they're passing. I don't understand what's going on in the chief of police and come in the police force, you know? I really don't understand what's going on in them. But anyway, that is for another time.
Yeah.
Have a good day, Mr. Blake.
Yeah, Matters.
You always bring something different. How are you, my boy?
Listen.
Yeah.
I had a discussion with some other guys the other day as to whether I think it's on the Caribbean in general will ever cease to practice being late for events, and whether we will ever stop littering. Those two big issues that we seem to have entrenched in our behavior.
Now look at
being late
Mr. Blake.
and littering. It seems to me that no matter what we do.
Mikey, before I go. We had a successful show on Win FM. So we come with Bridges, my friend, my teacher, one of the Sinkers' greatest sportsman.
Yes.
And a new manager going over there and just try down at the table. The country can't ask solid ways, no question no more. They send people down there who know nothing about Bastille to continue a show. A show that was getting to the common man and the road. And we were getting things done. Mikey, you know how I feel? Walk to Bastille and see people putting 4x4 bed, 6x4 bed all over. When they done it, they just rest them in a soil alley, bringing them on the main. Man, it's a terrible. And the manager, solid with, when the ship's gone, and not just the manager, the minister, the police, I hear the woman this morning and win FM. The woman look on the show because it look like they don't hear me culture and hear anymore. So they back us out. They're taking records no more. That's how the new manager set up the show now. I hear the lady. You know what she's saying? We must call them when we see littering at derelict vehicles on the road. They had it going, some bridges. Bridges used to come look down, you know, and we walk around all around Bastille, and you as well. But they don't care. The police, they don't care. They see the litter. You know where police tell me one time I try to get the attention in the circus. Mikey, I must stop this station. I said, man, you're the police. You're the little warden. Get the man name for me. I want him in the court. He don't have leave me. It's shame to see what's going on in this country.
Yes.
And he will change it up because the white man will come. Since when got the man no more done by the technical college, the white person won't come for it. Have a good day, my brother.
All right then. Thank you. Let's take another caller. Hello. Hello. You on? Okay, he's gone. He or she. All right. So this question of littering and being late, we wonder, are males greater culprits than females? So that if females were to run things, will we see less of it? What will they do that is different from men in order for us to begin events on time and to arrive on time and so on, and in order to reduce litter? Is it a male thing? Is it a female thing? Is it a black person thing? Or is it a human thing to be litter? To litter, sorry. Certainly it is not when it comes to being late, because I've been in some jurisdictions, some cultures where lateness is a no-no. Lateness is a taboo. You don't arrive at functions late. But if women were to get involved at those higher levels, the question is, what do we see them doing that will affect changes in these matters? Because they all matter. They all matter. Hello, caller.
Hey, Brother Blake.
Yes.
This littering thing is a nasty people thing.
Okay.
and I can tell you something, you know. Man does drive pickup truck, and they are the ones who will take a job to carry a bed over solid waste. But God knows if the bed would reach. Woman does drive pickup truck too. And I don't know if any woman get any job in any truck to carry any garbage over there and go dump them in any gut. And when it comes to woman out on the street, all of them women there, they are like Miss Rose. They know they have a job to do, and they ain't watching your face. They're dealing with it. But you know, I have seen man supposed to be out on the street, checking to see that the people them who they give the job to clean the drain before they go around like Mr. Fleming and Hodge and all them guys and stomp on them, and make sure that the people them who get the job to clean the drain do the work. They round the fort, round the between Fort Thomas Hotel and OTI in the car, reading book with foot cock up on window, and the drain them dirty, and they hear us on the radio. Me and Mandos and Jam Dong and Alice and all of us who used to talk on the radio about this nastiness in the country, in the street. People just deliberately doing this, and they ain't doing nothing about it. They hear us talking, but they ain't paying us no more because they get in the pay. They get in the pay, but we gonna find a way to get out the message. Anyway, let somebody else come in again because they don't know how to do.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Yes.
Yes. We'll take this other caller. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am.
I won't address you as Mr. Blake. I won't address you as Mikey. The last thing, like, you know who he's calling.
Carry on.
Do you know who he's calling?
Of course I do.
Oh, I will address you as my son-in-law.
Okay then.
And I would like to go to the beach now.
Past or present? Your son-in-law past or present?
No. Good morning, Rani. I would like to just speak about women. Everything things change in the world today. Because, you know, we have all over the world, we have different ladies, women, who are prime minister. Lots of women who are leading the flock as in church. Many ministers, reverend, and whatever they call them. Some call themselves prophetess and whatever. They are leading the church. Because, you know, we have two ladies here. One named Reverend June James. She is in Jamaica right now. She lives at the head of the church here by Health School. She was here for 10 years, leading the head of the Methodist churches here in St. Kitts. Another one by the name of Janetta. You know, we have a woman who is and was the head of the nurses, who was ministers, head teachers.
Of course.
Yeah, and all
Many of
those
those.
teacher Elsie and all of them. So,
Many of them.
And then, you know?
Many of them.
Yeah. And I know we have like Mrs. Hobson, Jillian, and many others you can call. And I want to say thanks to them, to the nurses, and to Rose. Oh my God, we should have many more like her. People just call her down and say this and that, but she is doing her work. And we should have had many more like her. We could. One of these days we're going to get more. So I want to say, tap up to the women, all the ladies who are up now at the front, leading, and whatever. And there'll be more to come. Those in government, I remember we had, even though you mentioned something, we have Mrs. Kanda. I think she had one pre-election at some time too.
Who's that?
Miss Kanda.
Mrs. Kanda? Oh, okay.
Yes.
She did? I don't think so.
She was doing something apart with government, and she helped out a lot of people seeking
Of course.
out.
That's for sure.
Yes, so I just want to say good morning to all of them who are listening and go on into the ladies. They may not do it, but you know, this is since you're speaking about ladies, I can say thank God for them, thank them for their service. And we have one and only woman who always down at the Beshua cleaning fish. Even.
Okay.
That's the only lady down there along with the men who clean fish. She sweep the street, could do her work there. And ladies, sometimes I look out me do at morning after 5 or 4, whenever. And ladies and the solid waste working, we had ladies who used to do construction workers. You see, some ladies really step up. So I just want to say thanks to them, thanks for this timely suggestion talking about ladies, women in our federation, and more will come by the help of God. So we thank God for all of them. Thank God for you. When I heard that somebody else is going to take over, I said, I sure bet it's that boy there, my son-in-law, you know. And I was so happy to hear your voice yesterday. So
Thank you.
keep up the good work.
Thank you. Okay, and of course, everybody knows that Lulu herself is one of our strong leaders in the community in her own way, and to do women a lot of good, to emulate her in many ways. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Blake.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I used to be in a voluntary litter officer since 2000 until of 2015. And you could ask Mr. Bridgewater, who ever bring in the most ticket between a litter officer and a full-time officer. I used to carry the most ticket. Put money in the government treasury. But after 2015, Eugene Hamilton removed my name. Eugene Hamilton removed my name from after the voluntary list. The litter officers list. And a volunteer used to volunteer, and I used to send in the most ticket. That's all I got to say.
Okay, that's a shame. I mean, why would anybody move the name of a volunteer? That makes little sense to me. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Blake, again.
Make it short.
Mikey.
Make it short. Hey, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to make it short. Just two things I want to talk about. I want when you get a chance, because when I tell you to check out things in town, because you know that that's different once you come from Oishton and Newton. You're different in thinking society. I want you to go to the Pelican Mall, because we're expecting push-ups this week. And I want you to look at the bathrooms in the Pelican Mall downstairs. Mr. Blake, I feel like to call, you know, to hear Minister Bolton, he was the best minister ever in Sinkit. And look at the bathroom then. Money was allocated to fix those bathrooms. You know, he fix upstairs where his friend them be, and where his office be, and the animals them downstairs. Not even the tenants them. Bathroom, full of more. And the corridor went the steps to go and look at this, because something should be happening before election fall. It's terrible. Visitors coming into this great country, and this is where we get in a the best minister. Shame on you. Shame on you. Have a good day. This is Jam down here.
Very well. That's Jam down. No question about it. Let's take another caller. Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning.
As you're holding on for Bradley, that is good. As some of the topic is cleaning up, I want to find out about the dirty lands around McKnight. Who is to clean it up? Hurricane coming and much of them getting in the sea. What will be in the land, they will get in the sea. And all who want to get elected not coming around to see what we are going through. Thank you.
Yeah, that has been a sore point for many years. Cleaning up.
Yes, but Lord, you mean so much time we call in and nobody will look into it?
Yeah.
The people that might dead or their life can't help themselves, but they have family. Try to go inland revenue, get some of them names, and then you go around see who they land. Mr. Blake, you're from around McKnight. I don't know if you're from our, but I know you're around here. And if you come right now up Fines Avenue, coming up on the right-hand side, you want to know if that's a place in a town. To you.
Okay, thank you. But as I was saying, that has been a very vexing matter for years on end. I wrote an article about that many years ago when the newspapers, the Democrat and the Labour spokesman were prevalent, and I got responses from all over the world. One man called from England to talk to me about the matter and so on. It's been a matter which really needs attention. One wonders if we had an all-female government or even a female prime minister, whether that would make a difference. If she would see to it that action is taken with respect to these many, very many, far too many overgrown, unsightly, unhealthy buildings and lots and vehicles all scattered all throughout the island. I thought it was pretty bad in Bastia, but when I took a deliberate drive around the island, I was shocked that this disease afflicts the entire territory of St. Kitts. I really hope it's not like that in Nevis, but certainly in St. Kitts, it's out of hand. The number of properties we see just left abandoned and allowed to deteriorate, to rot, to collapse on themselves, and to harbor all kinds of vermin, all kinds of pests, all kinds of undesirable elements, including squatters and vagrants and vagabonds and criminals. I really am wondering when is the time going to come when we stop talking and take action. We know that government has a lot of authority and that they do have the required legislation to take action and to deal with this matter in a forceful manner. But we like to speak of lack of political will, even when the social consensus is clear that we need attention and action in this area. Nothing is done. And I question whether that is in fact democracy at play. And if so, if it is, whether we need an alternative to democracy, quote unquote. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are winding down. We have just about another minute. I I'm glad to have shared with you some information with respect to women and their involvement in politics. And I, like Brother Eli, would like to see now other persons, other brothers like culture, etc. have said they would prefer a balance, and balance is almost always the better way to go. But I would like to see, even if it's only for a quote-unquote experiment or pilot project, so to speak, a situation in which all members of a country's government are female. I would like to really see what would happen after 5 years. Give those individuals just one term, and let us therefore have the data, let us have the evidence to compare and contrast how they would have performed, the changes that they would have introduced, the achievements that they would have been able to boast, as comparison, of course, with their male counterparts. Perhaps it shall happen, and perhaps sooner than we think. Thank you very much for being a part of Frank and Candid today. Tomorrow we should have a guest in studio. I invite you to listen carefully to what he has to say, and of course to ask questions. Thank you very much once again. Continue to enjoy today. Blessings and peace, my brothers and sisters. Shalom.